Well, Joe, tell us a little bit about the observational piece of this, because I know you did the organization for that.
We recruited nurses from the units who were interested in getting their NCAP and needed a research project to participate in for that part of their NCAP. And so we had each of them do at least 12 hours of volunteering, where we broke it up into 2 to 4 hour increments, where they sat in a hallway where there was an isolation patient, and they had their clipboard with their sheets for each patient. And they just monitored every individual that went into that patient's room, whether they were putting on PPEs, how long they spent in the room, and then if they were on our unit with the duct tape, if they didn't, obviously if they were inside that safe zone, then they didn't have to put on PPEs. But if they did step out of that safe zone, then they had to wear PPE. So we were just monitoring to see if more people were prone to go into the room with the safe zone. Because we had talked to several people in all different kind of departments throughout the hospital who said when they make their rounds, if they come to a patient's room who is on isolation, a lot of times they tend to just kind of walk by that patient and because they don't want to have to put on the gowns and gloves. And so we found a lot of information before we even started the project here in our own hospital. And we kind of already knew that, but it was good to hear it from other departments as well.
Okay. From the observations, now I was looking on your poster here to find out the hours. You did a lot. You observed 899, so let's say 900 encounters, and that was among 146 patients. And of those, nurses only accounted for 45% of the patient encounters. And that's a good reason for using the PEACH tool, which is about patient patient perception of emotional care from everybody, not just nurses, PCTs, docs, everyone. So that I thought was a good thing that you put in there. I wanted to point out here too that over your whole sample, and I'd like to get your comments about this. This is your unit, which was the treatment unit, plus all the control units, everybody. Only 10% of the encounters took place in a doorway. So even on your unit with the safe zone, there was a relatively small number of encounters that took place in the doorway. And when I say encounters taking place in the doorway, I say that because another thing we discovered was that across all units, people were sort of de facto practicing safe zone, which was a surprise to me, but probably not to you.
Not to me.
So people do just open the door, stand in the door, they don't put on PPE, and they talk to the patient.
Right.
So I call that safe zone.
It essentially was.
Right. And so across the sample, it looked like it was about the same, that not very many people did that, but they did it everywhere. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So there were not big differences in that kind of thing. Where were the big differences that you found?
The big differences we found were on the surveys with our patients in the treatment unit, the ones with the safe zone, that they felt like they were more cared for and their emotional needs were met more on the treatment unit when compared to the control units. And the difference between the treatment unit and the control units was the presence of CNLs. And so we were wondering if in the process of putting the safe zone down, talking about what a safe zone is, by the CNLs put the tape down. And maybe it was more education, maybe it was us talking to them more, rounding on them every day, that they felt more cared for and more their emotional needs met. That was the big difference between the treatment unit and the control units.
Okay. So just to summarize a little bit, what you found was a significant difference, and it
Yes.
wasn't just actually statistically significant. It was quite a large difference in the scores between the safe zone unit, the treatment unit, and the control units.
Yes.
But because we noticed that everybody practiced safe zone, even if they didn't call it that, the treatment actually could not have been the cause of that difference. So you're speculating, obviously it was something else.
Right.
You had a stronger CNL presence there, and the CNLs on the treatment unit made the safe zone formal, and in order to implement it, they actually had conversations with the patients about contact isolation and how people were going to be interacting with them. So that may have been the treatment rather than just the duct tape at the threshold and
Yeah.
standing in the door.
Right.
Very interesting kind
Yeah.
of finding, I think.
It's not about duct tape.
Right, so your question, can the simplicity of duct tape improve the patient experience, might be,
No, it can't.
It's probably much more complex,
Right. Duct tape can't fix everything.
but it can fix a lot, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to comment about on this particular study?
I learned a lot about research. I found that I like research. Planning another project here in the future. I think more research needs to be done on the CNL's impact on patients in how they feel cared for. I think further research needs to be done, and CNL, we're in a brand new role, and we need more research in how we impact patient care.
Right, very good, yes. Well, you'll soon have CNLs, I guess, in every unit, so if you want to do comparison studies, now's the time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much and welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.